Alright folks, it's time to put the Dream Theater discography to bed. I was going to do originally, to close this out, the top 10 Dream Theater songs of all time, a Cover Killer Nation personal list, and then I realized that, I was cutting a lot of important songs, so I made it a top 20, and then I still hadn't included songs from like 3 albums. So yeah, this is where I'm kind of drawing the line. This is all the farther that I'm going. It is the top 25 Dream Theater songs of all time, a Cover Killer Nation list, Cover Killer Nation's picks. So if you disagree with the list, if you think that certain songs should be higher or lower or included altogether, the best way to kind of express your opinions is in the comment box below. And if you're just absolutely enraged by this list and thinking that you can do a much better list, a more concise list, one that better represents the band's career, then pick up a camera and make that list, because I would love to watch it. Also, I feel that the last 2 albums, A Dramatic Turn of Events and Dream Theater, are still a little too new in order for the true representation and placement on this list is really known to all of us. So they are going to be what's going to kick off the list at number 25 and number 24. I'm going to try to make these quick and concise. That way we can get through this in a relatively, acceptable amount of time, as opposed to this video being 45 minutes long. Although I think some of you might like that. But let's get started. Let's get started with number 25, Illumination Theory, which is off of the new record, Dream Theater, which, depending on when you're listening to this, is either out now or is coming out here in a couple of days. For most of you who watch this on the first day of its release, it still is forthcoming. This is the 22-minute plus magnum finale to their new album. This is definitely going to be the centerpiece, the center point of the record whenever you get along to listening to it and listening to it as a whole. And this is really just combining so many different articles and so many different ideas from Dream Theater's past, whether it be their past career from the 1990s, whether it be as recent as The Count of Tuscany. It just is something that really just brings everything together, and the instrumentalization, the instrumental portion of this song is just fantastic. It's awesome, and it's why this is the song out of all of them that really, I think, deserves to be on the list, and it starts kind of a theme with me, which should be very apparent by the time this list has concluded. Number 24 is Build Me Up, Break Me Down, off of A Dramatic Turn of Events. This is a song that has a lot of personality to it. I really enjoy that. I like the seething, kind of scathing nature of the lyrics a little bit, even though my theories are probably wrong about what the song is about, which I'm not going to disclose because that's just going to take way too much time, and plus we all really get the chance to experience music and lyrics differently, so I'm not going to do that. However, this is a great song, track 2 off of A Dramatic Turn of Events, that really just kind of sold it for me that this was a band that had a lot more reinvigoration. It just seemed like they had a lot more chutzpah behind this album as compared to previous releases up to that point. Number 23 is Trail of Tears off of Falling Into Infinity. We all can pretty much spell out what Trail of Tears is all about, considering what the name itself really represents. Falling Into Infinity is oftentimes considered an album that doesn't have a lot of good material on it, and it's kind of fair. However, Trail of Tears is an excellent closer. It's an epic closer, and it really still, whenever I listen to songs like this one and the other one that made it to the list, I always think to myself, what would have really happened had Falling Into Infinity been allowed to be a double disc? The one thing that would have happened is that we would have never gotten Metropolis 2 Scenes from a Memory, which would have been an absolute fucking tragedy. However, it's just one of those things that you still want to ask the question, because this album was not what the band had intended it to be. It kind of got stripped down and destroyed, and you kind of want to know what the final product was really meant to sound like and really be. And if it may have been the epic album that they were hoping to produce and were not able to produce. Number 22, we have Forsaken off of Black Clouds and Silver Linings. I really like the subject matter of this song. I really like just a lot of different aspects of this track. It has a very heavy feel to it. There's just a lot that is going on here. And on Black Clouds, you already could tell that there was some tensions kind of brewing a little bit, and that some things were kind of not running at all cylinders, kicking it at 100%. There's a lot of burnout going on, but Forsaken is just a performance and a song that really harkens back a lot of great old emotion, and James's vocal performance on this one is just out of this world. I really love it. Number 21, The Ministry of Lost Souls from Systematic Chaos. Speaking of great performances, this is a great all-around band performance on a song that becomes, very, very just downright depressing as it continues onward. There's some really heavy subject matter on this track. The musicianship is very reverent. It has a lot of a tremendous feeling behind it. And, this is a long track, but it is worth every single moment of it. The finale of this song is probably the part that breaks your heart the most. Whenever you hear James LeBray sing Goodbye, you just kind of get goosebumps like I just did just by mentioning it. It's one of those songs that stick with you. Number 20, Endless Sacrifice off of Train of Thought. Train of Thought is, for me, often seen as a bit of a disappointment considering the albums that kind of it was following up. But it does have its own string of great songs, and Endless Sacrifice was one that really showed Dream Theater's ability to blend both sides of the coin. They were able to blend that softer, more melodic side along with their just insanity as far as progressive metal / progressive rock is concerned, which was that combination is what really makes this a really great song, as well as number 19, This Dying Soul, which basically does that very well. Also, only sticks a little bit more to the heavier end of everything. This Dying Soul just has, a tremendous vocal performance once again. I know I'm focusing a lot on James and kind of ignoring everybody else, but the reason behind that is that the musicianship on these songs are all exceptional. Very few of these songs, it's a top 25 list after all, really showcase Dream Theater really at their height, doing very, very well, and, really just exploring leaps and bounds what they're able to do. We get to number 18, which is also off of Falling Into Infinity. We have Hollow Years. Now, this is a softer song. This has a little bit more of a melody behind it, kind of a more of a prog rock driven song. Now, this is a song that whenever you listen to it on the studio record, you may not necessarily like it all that much. It may not seem like it has a lot of flair or a lot of punch. What I would actually recommend that a lot of you do, if that happens to be the case, is to listen to any live version of this song. The live version of Hollow Years is what got me really into the song. It's what got me really, really green on the song. I really enjoy the performance on this track. I think that it just really bleeds what Falling Into Infinity ended up becoming all about, and it just had a great tone to it and a great flavor to it. Number 17, Caught in a Web. We're finally going all the way back to Awake. This is a song that has another rich and powerful performance from the band, a band that looked very different back then. We just got James LeBray recently at this point in time, and we are still just kind of, feeling out everything. This happened after Images and Words, so of course there was kind of a heavy expectation. There was a lot that they really had to do in order to kind of back up that album. And Caught in the Web is a really solid track. I think a lot of people tend to overlook this one, as well as 6 Minutes, which didn't make this list. We have up next, we have number 16, Home, I Lost My Place. That was hilarious. Home is off of Metropolis 2, Scenes from a Memory, and this is just an epic, epic song. Spurling in length. I love the riffs on this. There's a riff that, has that very, very awesome, prog rock / prog metal feel. John Petrucci is just a riff master. And, it kind of blends regality along with just sheer kick-assery. I'm basically making up words left and right now. This is one that takes place as the opener of the second act of the album, I believe, and it really kind of gives it a certain element of flavor. It gives it a certain tone. It does exactly what the opener of Scene 1 really does, which we're going to actually get to later in the list. And I don't mean regression. Up next, we have A Nightmare to Remember, number 15, off of Black Clouds and Silver Linings. I downright just love this song. The fact that it's not higher up in this list is really a testament to what Dream Theater has really been able to do throughout their career. I love this song because of a lot of personal feelings I have toward it. This song is all about a car accident that John Petrucci was a part of as a child. However, I can see the middle portion of this track. I feel this middle portion, the element of tragedy, the element of, really being on the brink of life or death, or, worrying about other people. I see this as a real metaphor for a time in my life that was very rough, that I've discussed kind of openly to a lot of you. It's just one that has a tremendous personal feel to it, and, what I love about James LeBray is that even though a lot of these experiences that he sings about have very little to do with him, that they actually have more to do with John Petrucci or Mike Portnoy, just to name two individuals. There's just he's able to bleed the emotion as though he wrote the words himself, that he experienced these these things. You know, he's really just that kind of a very a vocal performer, where he's able to bleed those emotions out as though he were the individual, and this is another great experience for that. Number 14 is Under a Glass Moon. We're going back to Images and Words. Images and Words had so many great tracks on it that it was hard just to pick a few of them, and Under the Glass Moon was one that I had to include. This is a bona fide Dream Theater classic. This is one that every so often you'll still hear at Dream Theater concerts, and this is one that they should play. It's just got such a great just back to it. It's got just a fantastic instrumentalization. Just tremendous. Please, if you haven't revisited Images and Words in a while, please do that. I just got the opportunity to do that last Saturday, and I wasn't even at home. I was actually at work, and that's the cool part about it. Whenever you're at home, you know, you come to experience albums the same way every time sometimes. But whenever you listen to it in another environment, whether it be even just in your car, man, makes all the difference in the world, and this is one that really proved that. Number 13, The Glass Prison off of 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, and this actually opened up many different things, including the 12-step suite, and it's as the very first thing that you're going to hear on a sprawling double album, the double album that maybe should have happened in Falling into Infinity, but didn't until 6 Degrees. I mean, you really have to put your best foot forward right out of the gate, and The Glass Prison really does that. It blends a lot of different things. There's, just so much that really showed this band really evolving, and it really showed them that after Metropolis 2 Scenes from a Memory, that they were just going to explore their sound, and they were going to kind of not be afraid to, tread some new territory. If you look back at that review that I did for 6 Degrees, and you listen to all of the myriad of influences that they kind of had, then you really understand why this song and some of the others sound as they do, and why this album as a whole just has kind of a different tonal quality to it than a lot of their others. This is a great track. It opens it up perfectly. It opens up a suite that, maybe by the end of it got a little over excessive, and Mike Portnoy himself even said it was like a homework assignment, but man, he really put his best foot forward. Number 12, we have Overture 1928 / Strange Deja Vu. I'm including both parts off of Metropolis 2 Scenes from a Memory. Overture 1928 is definitely a great illumination of everything, and kind of sets up everything. It gets you in the mode of you're being taken away to a different time and place. And Strange Deja Vu is my introduction to Dream Theater. Strange Deja Vu is the first Dream Theater song that I ever heard. And, these two together really puts you in the exact place that you really need to be in order to continue onward. Their storytelling is just, it's really second to none. There are some bands that are able to maybe do it better, don't get me wrong, but Dream Theater does a lot of poetic justice, so this is a great way to get you into the timeline of Scenes from a Memory, and just gets you amped up for the remainder of the album. I just love it. Number 11, The Mirror from Awake. I like to include this track because there's a lot of personality to it. This is one that was all about Mike Portnoy's drinking habit, his drinking problem. There's a lot of self-reflection here, and James LeBray, once again, really he wanted to make sure he got this vocal performance correct, and he definitely was able to nail it. And we saw a little bit of this song kind of come back to us in part of the 12-step suite with, I think it was Repentance. And it's just kind of one of those songs that has a story behind it, that the story kind of becomes complete later on. It's kind of a weird thing, how you sometimes write about something that's problematic at one period of your life, and then you kind of can enforce a little bit of self-reflection. Not to mention the instrumentalization, once again, is top-notch. And, sometimes I wonder, Mike bleeds a lot of lyricism from his own life onto in the Dream Theater songs. It's got to be weird sometimes to be, not singing it, not performing it. Somebody else is actually singing your words, and, trying to put every emotion that they have into it. You really got to feel proud about that. Brings us to the top 10. Number 10, Pull Me Under off of Images and Words. Pull Me Under is considered the penultimate Dream Theater song for a lot of fans, for a lot of people. However, I think that it's a good song, but it's definitely not the best. This was one that for a long period of time, this band had to play ad nauseum at every show, and they still like to play the song, don't get me wrong, but it's one of those things where fans were so rabid about it that if they didn't hear Pull Me Under at the show, they got mad. They actually got pissed off. What the fuck, man? That's crazy. Pull Me Under is a good song, don't get me wrong, but if you're going to get downright pissed if you don't hear it at a concert, man, maybe it's time to take a step back. Get some Xanax or something. Really, really cool song. This is the song that really defined the band. It was what drove them to actual commercial success the first time around. It's one of the reasons why Dream Theater was able to get their foot in the door. got them play on MTV and VH1. I mean, Dream Theater became prog rock's new golden child, and let's face it, I think that they've been able to live up to that name, don't you? Number 9, the Yitsy Jam from the very first album. Oh my gosh. Oh, my words are just blah, blah, blah. This is a great jam. I love this instrumental. I feel really, really bad that I have included no songs where their original singer Charlie is, honking his pipes. But this is the song that for me really defined a lot from that album. I just really like that. I think it proved a lot of things. I think it proved what Dream Theater was capable of doing, and the sky was really the limit, because these guys were still very, very young. They were very inexperienced whenever it came to, being in the field and, making the business side and also making just great music. They made great music. I feel that their first album is a little underrated, but this song really just boasted what was coming, and I really enjoy it to this day. It really holds the test of time. Number 8 is Disappear from 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. A lot of you are probably looking at me like, what? Why not Blind Faith? Why not The Great Debate? Why not Misunderstood? Misunderstood actually missed the cut, barely, and I really like that song, but there's some elements to it, while it is creatively amazing, there are some elements to it that just kind of, they just didn't make it for me. Disappear, on the other hand, is just absolutely heartbreaking. This is a song that just has emotion written all over it, and it just has weird tones to it. It's just, it's just out there. This is one of the most out there songs that you're going to hear in the Dream Theater discography, and for that reason, I really like it. I like it a lot. It's the shortest track off of 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, but for me, aside from disc number 2, this is really the song that makes a tremendous impact. It might make more impact than any, because it really showed that Dream Theater, if they applied themselves to, some influences that were just, different than their traditional character, man, they could be really scary, to the point where, what couldn't they do? This song really proved a lot, and I still love it to this day. Number 7, the Metropolis Suite that started on Images and Words and culminated with the whole album, Metropolis 2, Scenes from a Memory. This story is just so masterfully written, both musically and lyrically, that it's hard to just say Metropolis Part 1, because Part 2 ain't that shabby. It's only one of the best progressive rock / progressive metal albums of all time. It's only one of the best concept albums of all time, one of the best ever conceived, and at that point in time, whenever it was released, it seemed heir to the throne of Queensryche. See, Dream Theater's always been a band where it's almost been like the baton's been passed to them, and basically anything that has been kind of the standard bearer prior, they are rising to the occasion and attempting to top and exceed it. With this suite, they did that on so many different levels that it was absolutely insane. The initial build off of the very first part on Images and Words really showcased that there was still a lot to be said about this story. And then the whole album. Words can't be said. They really can't. All you need to do to really understand is listen to it. Number 6, Panic Attack, Octavarium's Panic Attack. Once again, another song that has just tremendous personal value for me, especially considering the time of my life in which I was listening to this track, where I was getting a lot of panic attacks, where I was having a lot of anxiety issues, where I was mired in a very, very bad state. This was prior to coverkillernation, so it was bad. But this song just really showcases everything that really kind of goes through your mind. The one thing I love about this track that really is why it's so high on the list is how accurate it feels. It almost feels like the band themselves gave themselves panic attacks and wrote while they were having panic attacks, or just kind of tried to musically represent what a panic attack feels like. They did a damn good job with that, so I give them a lot of credit. Number 5, we're going back to Metropolis Part 2 with The Spirit Carries On. I love this song off of this track. It starts off with such simple lyricism, but they're the lyrics are so deep. Where do we come from? Why are we here? Where do we go when we die? Aren't those questions that throughout our lifetimes that we have asked, whether it be out loud to a group or just sitting alone? And I gotta say that James really has the vocal performance of a lifetime here. James's vocal performance on this track is just so breathtaking that it can move even the most callous of souls to tears. And that's what Dream Theater is able to do best on this record, is the fact that you get so emotionally invested in a song or in an album of theirs that whenever something hits, whenever a certain tone hits, you just break down, and it's the waterworks, and you can't stop. You can't stop crying. It's not like you shed one and that's it. You're bawling like a bitch who just got broken up on prom night. It's insane. This is a great song. Speaking of great songs, how about number 4, Octavarium? I don't mean the album, I mean the song. I mean the song that at one point in time was the second longest in the band's career. Damn, this harkens back so many different feelings. This harkens back so many different ideas from the prog rockosphere, and that's really what makes this song so amazing. It's able to take all of the different aspects from bands such as Pink Floyd, bands such as Genesis, and the list really just goes on, in order to really make a huge magnum opus. And then somehow goes from the past to the future or the present, because we hear growling. We hear growling and we hear James LeBray shouting. It's crazy. This is probably James LeBray at his fiercest at the end of this track, but whenever you listen to the whole song overall, it doesn't have that fierce intensity. The instrumentalization is there. Everything is there. This song was just written absolutely flawlessly. Love it. Speaking of long songs, track 3, 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. The whole entire second disc. You want to talk about sweets? You want to talk about sweets that talk about interesting subject matters such as mental illness, mental disease, and somehow is able, just like with Panic Attack, this is almost like a precursor to Panic Attack, somehow, some way they were able to make each and every one of these illnesses feel real through the music, through the lyricism, through the story that was being told. And that's the reason why this is number 3 on the list. Just amazing, impressive, phenomenal work. So we get to number 2, also off of Metropolis 2, Scenes from a Memory, the epic conclusion, Finally Free. Wow, on this classic album, nothing strikes me all the more than the way the album closes. I mean, this is just crazy. We're closing and tying up so many different loose ends here, and there's performances of reprises. The reprise of One Last Time is there, and it's, oh my gosh. The words that I could say would make absolutely no sense. It would be flat gibberish. The riff right there in the midst is just ridiculous. The chorus, is just breathtaking. Oh my lord. Words don't accurately and fully express completely what this song really does for Metropolis 2. All songs that are concept, or all albums that are concept albums, really need something that ties the story up in a nice knot and just says, here you go. This song did more than that. This song not only tied the story up, it also left you on just pins and needles. And once again, words are failing me. I love this song. If it weren't for number 1, Finally Free would probably be my favorite Dream Theater song of all time. But alas, there's a track of theirs that may never be topped. And that's A Change of Seasons. Number 1. You probably saw this coming, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm okay that if you heard number 1, A Change of Seasons, you just clicked off the video. That's cool. But this is a song that from the very first time I heard it, I knew that I was going to love it forever. I knew that this was going to be the song that was always going to define my Dream Theater experience. No offense to the guys, but they're just not going to be able to top it for me. This song just is brilliant. It took so long to conceive, and really it gave... since it took so long, they just were able to develop it exactly the way that they wanted to. They were able to sit down and pound it out over the course of nearly a decade. And really the result is just absolutely fabulous. The result is actually one of the longest EPs in history. But it's well worth it. Man, this is definitely something that just took me off guard the first time I listened to it. I figured, okay, it's a song, it'll be cool, and aside from that, I'll still just love this or that more. Never have. This has always been my number 1 Dream Theater song ever since I heard it for the first time in the year 2001, and I think it's going to continue to be my number 1 Dream Theater song for a long, long time, unless something insane happens. Well, there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed the list. Like I said, if you felt that it was bad, either that or that yours was better, record a video and link me to it, and link all your friends to it. Link all your friends to this video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. Dream Theater has now been put to bed. I love you guys in Dream Theater. I look forward to reviewing your next album after this one. But for now, thank you and good night.